That was here. All right. So injuries, really just today was maintenance. So with Bilal and Eddie, both maintenance days for them. So nothing too significant there. And then A-Rob was back at it today. We had our red zone today. We were inside, and guys had a good day of practice.
Matt, with Eddie, just basically the same as last week.
Yeah. Again, with some of these guys, you'll start getting into this where the combination of long and late in the season, and then on the turf.
But you expect all three of them to go?
Yeah. Yep.
Man, you guys are among the least penalized defenses when it comes to pass interference and holding.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that effort kind of start? Is that coaching? Is it technique? Is it kind of a combination of both?
Yeah, it's a combination of both, I would say. The players, technique-wise, is a big part of it, that you got to be really disciplined in that area. And then I think the other part of it is with the coaching is making sure that they're watching to see if they, where they're at with it. But so far, I mean, to have that, you want that overall as a team to be the least penalized, and specifically in that area, that's always a good thing.
More difficult to do nowadays with some of the rule changes and how it's a little more difficult to.
It could be, yeah, and it's more difficult for the referees too. It's difficult for them. It's difficult for the players. There's some subjectiveness to it, and but you got to try to not be too grabby.
And more so than previous weeks, Mitch just seemed really focused on the task at hand. Coming off of that game, did you notice anything different about him and his focus and just the way he went about his business? Was it anything
this week?
Yeah.
No, he's been the same. Really, I didn't. I think for him, after the game, he was focused in on the why part. How can we play better? And so now he went about practice very focused, but he's been that way all year long. Really, nothing's really changed there.
You're around these guys so much. Was there a point in the season where you could see, or so far you've seen, confidence really improve from guys? Was there ever, or were they always that confident?
No, it's grown over time. We were figuring it out throughout the year. I would say probably after the Vikings game is when it really started. You really could truly start feeling it, and that's a confidence thing. That's natural. That was a big win for us at home against a division rival, but not to say that we didn't have it before, but that's probably where you start feeling it the most.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you guys don't obviously talk about playoffs ahead of time.
Never, not one time.
You think that's where guys start thinking about it, probably, like this could be a playoff team?
For sure. And again, that's what, we'll explain to them the scenario that we're in very briefly and the opportunity. It's an opportunity, but we do not, it's crazy how we think or how I think it is. I just believe that when you start chasing something, you play different and you start worrying about things that you shouldn't worry about. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they understand where we sit, that we put ourselves in this spot, and now it's a great opportunity for us. But as far as the other stuff, we're not there yet.
What have you come to appreciate about Prince and just who he is, not only on the field, but just what his presence is for you?
Yeah, I love Prince's makeup. I think that he's one thing with Prince is there's no filter, and that's in a good way. I mean, he's going to come over and he'll always ask you questions, out of the box questions that make sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but he'll ask you some questions where you can see he really thinks things through, and that's off the field and then sometimes on the field. I just think that we're very lucky to have him. He's a really good teammate. He's a guy that you can trust in the scheme. He can make plays, and he just does everything that we ask him to do.
You've talked about Andy Reid's influence a lot. What about going all the way back to Delaware? Are there things you can still apply from Coach Raymond from back then? Yeah,
I mean, for me, I just always remember just everything was it was repetitive. So practice what you did in practice, the drills you did. I can't tell you how many times I did a reverse handoff belly rub with a hose on the ground with all the different gaps for the makeup offensive lineman. I did it for 365 days a year for 5 years. I got redshirted, and so just I think the repetitiveness of just doing things over and over and over again was the biggest thing I took away, and then talking them into throwing the ball, not running it.
The AP put out a story today. They had writers vote on who's done the best coaching job. And
Who did?
the AP.
Oh,
And you won.
nice, nice. Well, I didn't know that, number one. You know, that kind of stuff, it goes to the individual awards are for everybody. I think to me, when you hear something like that, especially as a head coach, it speaks to who we are. You know, I mean, that's when you hear an award like that, you get humbled by it, you appreciate it, but it's all about everybody in this building. It's about the players, and so that's pretty cool for them.
You've got the Pro Bowl coming up on Tuesday. Is there a balance between allowing your guys to really want to make the team, but to not get too caught up in any sort of individual thing?
Yeah, and we have those type of guys. Well, nowadays with the Twitter world, everything that goes on, you know, it can get, it's wild how that works. But our guys, they have that balance. They know that. If you play well as a team, you'll get recognized. You know, it's like that high school kid that's playing for a single A team in the middle of nowhere. They'll find you. And so if you're playing well, they'll find you.
Do you have any Twitter rules? I'm not sure we ever asked you about that.
Twitter rules?
Team rules for Twitter?
Yeah, we do. We do have rules. Well, they stay away from it in here. You know, but that's just a rule that we have, and you know, they can do whatever they want out of here, but you know.
What's the punishment?
Huh?
What's the punishment?
I'll keep that between us.
Do you have a secret account you monitor?
No, I don't. I need to. You know who my secret account is? My kids. It is. You think I'm joking?
What's their handle?
Yeah.
So they have the Twitter, but Kyle Fuller does not.
I don't know. Does he have a Twitter? He doesn't have one? Does Mitch have one?
Yeah.
But he doesn't use it.
Oh. They have shutdown mode? Yeah, no.
Every player's Twitter handle is on the retweet for the Pro Bowl, and then there's just Kyle's name.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. I do. I get all my stuff through my kids. They come to me with it, so it's pretty good.
Matt, you mentioned Mitch's steadiness. Was that something that he had when you got here, or is it something you kind of had to work with him on?
He had a little bit of that when we got here, but I think he was looking for even more structure. And that's not anything to do with who he was here with before. That's just learning the process and understanding that every coaching staff is different on how they do things. And so, you know, we put together a process for him week to week, day to day on how to go about, you know, watching tape. How do you watch tape? Who do you watch? Who do you watch it with? How do you do it? Are you trying to be Drew Brees? Are you trying to be Tom Brady? No, just be yourself and watch and figure out what works for you. And so he's done that, and he's stayed steady with it this whole time. And I think it's important for him to continue to do that, regardless of whether you win or lose. Stay with that, stay with the structure, and then you know, use your peers and your coaches and teammates around you to help you get better.
In January, when obviously you had that quick turnaround of
Yeah.
interviewing and taking the job, you had to take a pretty big leap of faith in both Ryan and the roster that was here. What in those small moments convinced you that this was going to be what it's become?
I can remember specifically, you know, the day of that I interviewed. You know, I went into this thing and to the interview process of telling myself to trust what I feel, regardless of everything else. Just trust what I feel. And when I was done with my interview with Ryan and Ted and George, you know, I had a really good feeling. And so that's the first start, because when you get into this thing, you got to be with people that you trust and people that you want to work with and people that you want to build friendships with for the long haul. And if you have any bit of you know, you don't feel that at all, a reservation, then I was going to tell I was in a good place in Kansas City. And so that was part of it, was the people side. And I felt really good about that. The next part of it was the X's and O's side and the personnel side and all that. And again, any team that you go into in those, there's a reason why you're going into those. And so we hammered through all that, and then you got a quarterback too, you know, which is a big part of it. And I had a lot of trust in him and spending time on Mitch in the process. So everything felt right. It felt good. And I just trust my instincts.
The character of this roster has obviously been a big part of this whole.
Yeah.
What did you know about that from what Ryan told you, and what did you want to know more of as you got involved?
So you don't, when all of it happens so quick, the process of getting hired. So You can go through the overall big picture of who the players are and the feel that, you said the character?
Yeah.
Of the people,
Yeah.
and yeah, so you can go through that, and he'll, because you really don't, I mean, you don't have any idea. So you're trusting what they tell you. And then once you get hired, now it's about figuring out and meeting your players, which you couldn't do for a lot of time. But then you get together, you meet them, and then you slowly just talk through things, and you manipulate the roster as you see fit. And then we went through the free agent process, and that was one thing that Ryan and I believed in, was having, one of our values is good people, and dealing with people that through the thick and thin. Won't change, and they'll be there for each other. And I know Ryan believes in that. I believe in that. It makes life a lot easier, and so that's just how we do it.
When you guys trade for Khalil Mack, you're like, I'm glad I trusted Ryan Pace.
Yeah. I mean, it's that was a great move for us, and but again, we have so many good players on this team. They just all work really well together.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.